Thank you for letting
Have
me
I been
dance this
silent long
time.
enough for you?
Yes, I got the whole dance in. Thank you.
Last time you complained that I spoke too soon.
You did, yeah. But this time was good.
Excellent. Well, hello and welcome to Slow Pit Stop, the international Formula One podcast by fans for fans all around the world. My name's Arafat, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host Mohammed. Say hi, Mohammed.
Hi.
Hi. We have just watched the Bahrain Grand Prix, where Oscar Piastri has won his second race of the season. Lando Norris had a very scrappy race to finish in P3. And our main man, Lewis Hamilton, has finished in a respectable P5, winning driver of the day. But yeah, did you enjoy the race? Did you not enjoy the race?
Yeah, it was a refreshing reminder of why Formula One is fun, which I truly
Mm.
needed that after Japan. Because I was like,
Yeah,
are we just going to watch these cars go around in circle all season and not know
yeah,
what to make of it? Like, but no, it was good. And I thought after the safety car, when all the cars came in to pit their tires, and then they had the graphic come up of what tires were on, and it was like a really crazy mix of soft, medium, and hard. And I was like,
yeah.
like this could go in any direction. I have no idea.
This whole thing of like high abrasion surface, places to overtake. Like, I think Bahrain's a great circuit.
Hmm.
Whether it's the normal configuration or the square configuration. Um,
Hmm.
and like, there's people that had 3 pit stops, and then we'll get into it properly. But the fact that someone can pull off a strategy, the way Ferrari, the first half of the race, where they
Hmm.
went long, but then came back with a fresher tires compared to everyone else, and were able
Hmm.
to cut through the field like that.
Hmm.
And you had all these competing strategies, and
Yeah, it was
people
good.
racing to the line.
Yeah,
Verstappen and
you had a lot
Gasly,
of racing.
and
This had a lot of racing in
yeah.
it. Yeah, it was good.
So, what 2020? What was it when they raced here twice and Perez won at this
Hmm.
circuit?
Hmm.
So I think it's one of the best
After
circuits.
he spun out and started in the back, you know,
Yeah.
if you remember, he had to make
So
his way all the way through. It is one of the good circuits.
exactly.
It's probably the best Arab circuit, which is
Mm.
controversial, but I think Jeddah has had poor racing 2 years in a row now. They've only had two good years. I think 21 and 22 were the only good years of Jeddah. Then 23 and 24 kind of sucked. Last year, especially, was really bad. Um, and so I think and then Abu Dhabi is just like throwing money at the sport to stay on the calendar because that
Abu
circuit
Dhabi's the
sucks.
worst one, and not just because of 2021, but generally it's just the worst one.
It's
And it
such a
had all
bad.
this stuff. Oh, we're going to reorganize the circuit. We're going to rebuild some corners. Karan Chandok, we brought him in as a driver to help us do this, and it's still not
Oh
great.
yeah, I forgot about that. Even
So
before
yeah,
21, it was like known that you just watch
yeah,
the
of
procession. It was
course,
like, why is this the finale of the
yeah,
season? Yeah, but
yeah. They
Bahrain has
should
always
finish in
been good,
Brazil.
and I didn't mind that Bahrain was the season opener for a little bit because
Mm,
it was a good race, even though they test there. So you were kind of like, oh, we know how it's going to go. But it never turned out quite as straightforward as, oh, like this is the order in testing. That's the order
yeah,
that they finish in Bahrain. So I didn't mind it. Australia is good too. I mean, it's classic, but to go back
yeah,
to Australia as a season opener, but I didn't mind Bahrain being the season opener for a little bit.
yeah. I think they should probably finish at Vegas. That's the most west, right? There's nothing more west than Vegas on the
Mm,
circuit.
Miami. Oh wait, that's
Miami's
east.
no east. Yeah, you live
Yeah,
in America.
I
Fuck you,
forgot my east
everyone.
and west. Okay. I was like, what
Yeah.
direction are we moving from? But yeah, no, you're right.
Well, I
It
like
is.
how your entire east to west of the world was Miami to Vegas. That was your frame of reference.
There's more to the world. Miami to Vegas is such a baller line to say from Miami to Vegas. I mean, come on. What other country
Yeah,
can pick two party cities like that? Like,
yeah. But I think they should finish at Vegas. That would be a good place to have a finale and
mhm.
start as far. Is Japan more east than Australia? Anyway,
They
start
can,
in
Japan's
Australia,
already
finish
in
in
the start of
Vegas.
the season. Keep it that way.
Yeah, yeah,
We're
no,
doing
but I
good
mean
with
the
Japan.
season opener,
Yeah,
Melbourne to Vegas.
and then just keep moving across the world. Yeah.
So I have two items of news for you. One of them involves a
Hmm.
quiz.
Okay, I'm excited.
before we get into the race. So, number one, Jackie Stewart, 1969 world champion, who also won in 71 and 73,
Mm.
did a demonstration lap in an old car or something. But he did it with a helmet that was signed by every living world champion.
Wow, what the heck? That's
And what made
amazing.
it extra interesting was it had Michael Schumacher's signature on it as well. So the official statement was Michael Schumacher, with help from his wife Karina, has signed this helmet. So I suspect she's put
Gosh.
a pen in his hand, held his hand, and signed it or something. They didn't go
Yeah.
into the specifics of how it happened, but they said with help from his wife.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of ever since his accident, there's very
Mm-hmm.
little public news,
Information, yeah.
and because they want privacy,
Mm-hmm.
we're not going to sit and speculate on his specific condition and
Mm-hmm.
all of that. All we've been told is he signed it with a lot of help from his wife.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think that was cool. I think that was the main headline of it. Of there's a helmet here that like
Yeah.
Michael Schumacher's interacted with. That's because you never
Yeah.
hear about him.
Yeah.
But it then made me think. So there's 20
Oh
living world champions at this time.
God.
I wouldn't have got all of these. The main ones up till like Michael, you'll get the ones before that. Probably get the 90s and 80s. It was the 70 ones that I was like, oh, like once you read them all, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot these guys.
I
But
here's my problem with this game. I don't have a understanding of time. So for me, like I'm shocked that Michael Schumacher's alive. Even though like yes, he's probably only in his what is he in his like 60s or 50s? Like he's not going to be that old.
he's 50, yeah.
Yeah, but like in my mind he's like 95.
Yeah. So anyone before him. Right,
Okay,
I'm
so
going to
let
give
me just
you
start
a
from the
minute.
beginning.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a
So
minute. You can work backwards, but
1 minute I'm
go.
dead. Okay, Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton,
Correct.
Sebastian Vettel, Kimi
Mm.
Raikkonen, Fernando
Yeah.
Alonso, Michael Schumacher, Mika
Mm-hmm.
Hakkinen,
Yeah.
Jack Villeneuve.
Correct.
Who's the guy that was doing the driving? Jackie Stewart.
Yeah. So in the modern era, you've forgotten one of
Brabham.
Lewis's teammates.
Oh, Jensen Button. Yeah,
No, you said
Jensen.
him.
No, I didn't say Jensen. I said Fernando Alonso, and then I said Kimi Raikkonen, but I didn't say Jensen Button. Mika
Yeah,
Hakkinen, I
you did
said.
say him, but you didn't say another one.
Oh, Nico Rosberg.
Correct. Okay. And then just before Jacques Villeneuve, his teammate that was a commentator for Sky.
Alain Prost. Is he alive? Nicky
Correct.
Lauda. Is he alive? Alain Prost is
Niki Lauda's
live.
not alive.
Nicky
Alan
Lauda's not.
Prost is alive.
Okay.
And then from that era, Mustache.
Oh, Nigel Mansell. Is
Correct.
he alive? Okay. I said
And then
Brabham.
racist old man.
Oh, Nelson Piquet. No, the other one.
Correct.
Oh, he's a
Yeah,
world
Nelson
champion.
Piquet.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then someone's dad.
Kelly Piquet's dad. No, Nico Rosberg's dad, but he wasn't a champion. Was he Kiki Rosberg?
Yeah, it was KK Rosberg, correct.
Oh Jesus, I'm so
And
bad at
then
this.
one of your American friends.
Oh, Andretti, Michael.
Correct. And then from Brazil.
Is it no Mario Andretti, not Michael? And then
Yeah,
from
Mario Andretti.
Brazil, the
Two-time
only
world
one I know
champion
from
from
Brazil is
Brazil.
Senna.
No.
Just kidding.
So I'll give you this one. So it's Emerson Fittipaldi.
Oh, you could have
And
said
then the two that
racing
I've
family. I
skipped
would have figured it out
over.
from there.
Yeah, the two that I've skipped over are Alan Jones and Jody Sector.
I didn't know that either of them were alive. Jody Scheckter. I've heard of his name.
75 years old. Yeah.
Wow, what is he doing? He's still racing cars.
No, I think I remember seeing some documentary or interview or something, and he like sits in a vineyard in South Africa. That's where he's from. And, like,
Nice. Is
that's
he?
his
Wait,
deal.
hold on. What kind of South Af? Well, let's not get into politics. I was gonna ask you what kind of South African is he, but I don't want to take that route. I don't want to take that route right now.
Let's find out. Let's be like, what does his dad do? Personal life. Schechter is married, blah, blah, blah. The sale of his firearms company provided funds to allow his sons to go racing.
Who'd he sell it to?
I don't know, but it says one of his sons raced in the Indy Racing League and had 2 wins.
Nice. We'll pretend that he sold it to Nelson Mandela, and then we can move on. And Alan
Yeah,
Jones, I
I
don't
think
know.
it's always stand-up guys that have firearms
Companies.
companies. God. And then the
I
other
don't know
one was
Alan
Alan Jones.
Jones. Is it Alan? Is he like French? Alan Jones. I'm
No,
looking this guy up.
he's Australian.
Alan Jones, racing driver, was an Australian racing driver. Is an Australian racing
Was
driver.
his, yeah.
Oh, he's not. He's 78, I guess. He looks very young in this picture from 2007. Um,
It's a 20-year-old photo.
he's the last Australian to win the Australian Grand Prix. Has Daniel Ricciardo never won the Australian Grand Prix? That's incredible.
No,
That's
and Mark Webber
crazy.
never won it as well.
Ah, that's wild. That's actually so. I wonder what he's doing now. I'm gonna read his thing. He says post Formula One career, A1 Grand Prix Masters. So he was involved with racing for like a
Mm.
long time until 2010. Till 2010. Now he looks like he's just retired in Australia. Something I was thinking of the other day, uh, by which I mean this morning. Do you think Daniel Ricciardo and the other drivers who have lost their seats recently, like Logan, Nick DeVries, are still watching the Formula One races or following along with that world, or do you think they've like unplugged because it's too much, it's too hard? Like Perez, for example.
I'm trying to think what I would do if it was me. I think they would unplug for a certain period of time.
Mm,
I think they must keep up to an extent because I remember Liam Lawson said when he got the Red Bull seat, the only person that texted him to say well done was Daniel Ricciardo.
mm.
So he must keep up to date to a certain extent. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what.
Cause like
Have you seen
I
Daniel Ricciardo? I'm getting loads of adverts for him. He's like
yeah
selling
yeah
rosé or something.
his like marketing like ability will only be relevant for a couple more years. This is absolutely the right thing for him to do is to boost his Enchante label and
Mm,
do everything else he's trying to do out of it because this is it's not going to be a value. After that, he could probably take a job as a commentator. He'd do well, I
yeah,
think. He did that like briefly the commentating, but the
yeah,
show
for
was
one
run
race.
so, but it was done so poorly. And just the
Mm,
producing of it was done very poorly. Like
yeah.
they didn't let him comment on the race. He had to interview people in the middle of the race. And what they had wanted it to be like was in America we have this thing called the Manning show, the Manning
Mm,
cast it's called, which is Peyton Manning and his brother Eli Manning, who both won Super Bowls, sit and they commentate on a football game, and it's
mm,
really really good. It's like the
mm,
equivalent of two Jolien Palmers, or it's like if you got
mm.
Jolien Palmer and Jensen Button to comment on a show, right?
Yeah,
Like except
yeah,
if
yeah.
Jolien, I mean, Jolien is a great commentator, but imagine if he was a world champion. So it's like that kind
Mm,
of thing. And it's very entertaining to watch. So that was the idea behind the Daniel Ricciardo thing, but it just, like, he got all these guests who weren't really into Formula One. He had to be explaining the basics. It wasn't that good. But if he does it again properly, where he's
yeah,
like him and Jensen or him and Nico or something like that, I think it could be like a really good thing. So he's got a good future. But yeah, I was just curious thinking about it. I know this isn't about the race, but I was curious whether these people like they still follow. Like, is he watching it and he's like,
yeah.
"Ah, oh, McLaren
Because
is
it's
so
been their
good now."
life for such a long time.
Hmm.
I don't think you could totally disconnect.
But like, I also feel like they're fans of Formula One, right? Like, they're
Yeah,
not just racing drivers. Like, they're like
yeah.
F1 fans. Like,
I'm sure. Do you know of all the people?
yeah,
I can almost guarantee. You know, you see those people with the setups of like 8 laptops, all the
yeah,
different timings.
yeah.
Sebastian Vettel is sat at home with 8 screens.
Yeah. You know
He's
he's
watching
figuring out the
everything.
strategy. You know he's looking at
Yeah,
the tire deck, and when Ferrari says we're
yeah.
gonna put them on hards, he's like, "No, I would have said no."
No,
He's
texting them.
like,
He's texting them. He's like, guys, you should do this. That's why there's a delay. Ferrari are like, guys, do nothing until Patel texts. And they're like, we're not getting a text through. We're going to have to come up with a decision ourselves.
Which side note, I know we should like talk about the race, but I thought it was so funny that they told Lando like George Russell is already complaining about his tires, and he's like, "Why? He's on an incredible tire. He has nothing to worry about." He's like talking about George Russell's strategy as he's driving the car.
Shall I give you my second piece of news? And then we can get into the
Yes,
race.
yes, yes.
So my second piece of news is actually old news, but it's something I only found out about this week.
Mm.
Um, which is that I'm adopting Kimi Antonelli as Indian, because he basically is. I'm trying to think what could his Indian name be? Karun. I don't
Antonelli,
know.
but why?
Think of a
Why is he
name that
basically
Antonelli. Yeah.
Indian?
So his mum said, "Great, you're a Formula One driver. You're finishing school. You're finishing your exams and getting
Hmm.
your. It's called the Maturita certificate in Italy.
Hmm.
So in May, Mercedes have had to organize extra flights for him. So in between the races of what now we have Bahrain, Jeddah. What's after Jeddah?
Uh,
Miami, and
mm.
then the Italian Grand Prix or Emilia Romagna, whatever. He is flying in and out of his
Wow.
hometown to
To
sit
finish his
his exam.
exams.
Yeah. And he's like
You know,
studying for his maths exam.
it reminds me of like when we interviewed Bianca and she was like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, I have homework I have to do. It's online. The teachers make exceptions for me,
Yeah.
like, but I still have to get my exams done on time." I also saw like when you think about like F1 wags, like I know we don't ever talk about
Mm.
gossip on this show, but like in my mind they're like older, they're like models, they're like like Carlos Sainz's girlfriend or Charles Leclerc's girlfriend, like that is
Yeah.
their demographic.
Yeah.
And like they're like socialites. Usually that's what I think about.
Mm.
But Kimi Antonelli's girlfriend posted a TikTok of her watching his race while doing her algebra homework. And I was like, oh gosh, she's so young.
Yeah. He's probably
she's
doing
like
his homework.
she's like 17 or 16 or something, and he's like 18 or 19. Like
God.
he's
Yeah. Oh gosh.
she's doing. I'm like, oh my god, these kids, these are literal kids that are in the
Yeah.
sport right
I
now.
like because there's a clip going around the internet right now of Antonelli, talking about maths or something, and George Russell suddenly like, "You're at school," and like the internet was like, "Why does George not know this? How has he not been paying attention to him?" And I'm like, "I didn't
what
know
what do you
this."
think their relationship is like? I think it's gonna. I think when George was with Lewis, he was begrudgingly friends with him. I think he wanted to show him up. He wanted to learn from him. He knew he
Yeah,
was a 7 time. He respected him. I don't think he has any respect for Kimi. I think he's like, I'm the top dog. I'm the alpha guy, and
yeah. I
Kimi's
think
just
he's like,
there.
there's this kid here on work experience. Um, that's how he sees Kimmy.
I think it's like Alonzo Hamilton energy, actually. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Uh,
That's
long,
crazy.
long
Oh
may
my
the beef
god.
between Kimmy and George continue.
Well, I
But yeah,
really like him. It
basically,
makes me very. It makes me very like heart. Not what's the word? Like I don't know. My mind is split when I'm watching because I hate
what is
Mercedes,
that?
but I really
What are
like
these
Kimmy.
Trump hands that you're doing? It makes me. It
it's
makes me
it's the
the Kimmy
greatest.
tariff.
Oh, he's paused tariffs on the show. That's why this episode's coming out in a timely
Oh
manner
yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it's us and Apple that got exempt.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but yeah, basically, Kimmy's mum must be Indian because if me or you became Formula One drivers and we were
Hmm.
like, "Hey, we're on £1 million a year now," I guarantee our mums would make us do our exams.
If Kimmy is Indian, Oscar is Indian because his mom is an Indian dad. I will explain.
Okay,
After
I really like her Twitter. I think she's really funny. But continue.
yes, okay, she is funny, but I thought it was so funny today on Twitter. Like shortly after Oscar won the race, she posted a picture of him like celebrating, and she's
Yeah,
like, "Well done, Oscar." And I was just thinking, if I won a Formula One race, if I was only like 2 points or 3 points from leading the championship, what would my dad say? And well done is exactly that. There'd be no
yeah.
emotion.
Well
There
done.
would be like, well done. So
Yeah,
his mom is an Indian dad.
yeah.
It
hundred
wasn't even
percent. I'm
like
trying to think.
there was like no emotion in her. It was just like, well done, Oscar. Like she expected it. Like
Yeah,
you had to win.
yeah,
Why
yeah.
did you not? Why could you have thought of coming second? Like it was that kind of
Here's
thing.
a fun question because I already know what the answer to mine would be. Would your mum have made you like finish med school if you'd got a Formula One drive?
Think if it was something. Okay, I'm in this world. I've like been training for it since I was a kid. Right, like it didn't come out of
Yeah.
nowhere. So I've been training for that since I was a kid, and I've been training for medicine since I was a kid. I think I'm 20 years old. I've got a head full of gray hair. I've actually combusted from trying to do two high quality careers at the same time. But no, if that's actually happened, I think she would have me put it off. Like I don't know if you can do this in the UK, but in America you can get the acceptance and then you can
Yeah,
delay your entry. So she'd be like,
yeah.
okay, you
I
can
think
get
you can
like
for a year, maybe two.
so I think you can do it up to 2 years. So she'd say you get 2 years in an F1 drive.
Mm,
If it
mm.
works out, great, you become a champion. if you're not a
Hmm.
champion, if you can't drive that V carb to the championship, let's be real. That's what I signed. I'm one of 50 million Red Bull juniors that Helmut Marko has
Yeah.
signed. I've gotten the step up. I've got 3 races to prove myself. And if I don't drag that V card to the championship, then my mom's gonna pull me out before Helmut Marko and put me back in med school.
Once, long time ago, especially like 2007, 2008, something like that, watching Formula One, and my dad was like, "Why is there never anyone from our community, as one of the drivers?" And I said to him, I was like, "These people have to start when they're 4 years old. If I said to you, Dad, me as a 6-year-old, I want to become a professional racing driver. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm not going to school. I'm going to be homeschooled. And every Saturday and Sunday, we're going to go to races. What would you have said?" And he just burst out laughing and he went, "Yeah, there'll never be anyone from our community."
Yeah, Karun really is like, him and Daruvala are like really the two exceptions that I don't know, like just because they come from racing families and they had money, that's it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
that's so funny.
Should we get into this race?
Bahrain.
Yeah. How do we approach this?
So let's just start with Lewis because that's who we care about, and the
Yeah.
listeners can deal with it. I thought it was a good drive. I thought the way I've reframed this entire year because Lewis told me to. Because he said, "Stop expecting magic from me. I'm not going to win every race. I'm not going to be fighting for pole positions every race. This isn't 2020. Get your expectations in line. It's a hard car. It's a completely different braking system. I've never had to engine brake before. I don't know how to do it. I'm learning. Cut me some slack." So, because he's dampened my mood, I was like, all right, fine. I guess that's the approach I'll take. And now I'm just happy for him to keep it close with Charles. And that's genuinely what I'm
Mm.
hoping out of every race is he keeps it close with Charles. If he can out qualify Charles Leclerc a couple times, that would be really, really nice. But like you said, if his point total towards the total Ferrari point total is like 45%, I will be happy. I would think that that was a successful year and hope more from him next year. So I think qualifying P9 was a huge disappointment. I really wanted him to make it up in the race, and he did. And he got as high. I think he could have maybe with completely ideal strategy and tire deck and completely ideal everything, he could have been P4. I don't think he was ever going to get higher than that. So I think P5 is respectable. And I think it's the good chunk of points that he needs for himself in the championship and also that the team needs. So I thought it was a good drive from him. I know some people have been critical online that he won driver of the day. And I just want to get this out of the way. I think he won because there's so many good candidates for driver of the day and everybody split their vote, but the Lewis Hamilton fan base votes as a block. So Lewis
Mm.
rose to the top because
Yeah.
Behrman really could have won. Either of the Alpines could
Yeah.
have won. Ocon could have won. Yuki could have won. Piastri could have won. Any of these guys really could have won. You could have even made an argument
Yeah.
for George, even though I'll never make that argument. But I think the reason Lewis won is because the vote got splintered, and so everybody's like, "How
Yeah, I do
he
that.
just?"
Regardless of what happens in a race, I always vote for Lewis.
Yeah, me too. he could literally be trawling around P15
Yeah.
stuck somewhere, and I'll be like, "Driver of the
Yeah. So it's
Who
us. It's
else
me
is
and
gonna
you that
support
tipped it.
who else is gonna support him if not us, right? Like
Exactly.
we have to give him the support. Like we give him the unfathomable support because we're the fans. What did
Yeah.
you think of his race?
So, yeah, again, I think he raced well on Sunday. Saturday was
Mm.
disappointing, but I've been thinking about this. So, different drivers have been saying the same thing at different points in time. That on Saturday in Q3, getting that last 10th or 100th at the car,
Mm.
like Yuki talked about this with the Red Bull, he goes, you're building in performance and then suddenly you drop off a cliff edge.
Mm.
And there's something happening on Lewis. He's struggling on Saturday. Carlos Sainz talked about this with the Williams. He said, the faster I go, the slower
Mm-hmm.
my lap time is. And Lando Norris is having that same problem in Q3. He said, I'm not feeling comfortable. I'm not
Mm.
happy. Andrea Stella was talking about it in terms of, and I was like, if this was just Lewis, you could say, I don't know, you're completely different type of car, age, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's every single person that's moved team is struggling a bit, and even the
Mm-hmm.
people that have been embedded within the same team, like Lando, are talking about this difficulty in achieving the peak lap time,
Yeah.
and it's problematic because qualifying is so important
Mm.
because all the cars are so close. I mean, you saw Suzuka last week.
Mm-hmm.
The race finished on Saturday, basically, right?
Yeah.
Um, but you look at people's pace, like Ollie Behrman coming from 20th to 10, Lewis, climbing from ninth to 5th.
Mm-hmm.
They've got pace on Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
but there's something about, I don't know if it's a ground effect cars or maybe it's just something I've never noticed before, but something is happening where
Mm-hmm.
when people are going for that peak lap time, it's unsettling the car, it's upset. They don't have the confidence. And it's like Carlos Sainz says, the faster he drives, the slower his lap time is. Um, and I don't know what the solution to that is because it's across multiple teams and multiple
Mm.
drivers. And I'm hoping the next set of regulations in 2026 allow us to see, drivers able to do the best job for themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like they're not limited by things out of their control. Like if
Yeah.
they put it on pole, it's because they wanted to. It is quite weird, isn't it? Because Lewis was on sprint pole, and in his mind, he didn't like change his entire approach to qualifying for that one session and put it
No,
on
they
pole,
changed the
right?
setup of the car. They changed the setup of the
Mm.
car because of the different fuel loads and things to go
Mm.
longer. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take. I do think right now, if you're good at qualifying, you're getting rewarded, and you can see George Russell has been on the podium for the three of the last four races, but it's because he's a
Yeah.
good qualifier, and Leclerc's a good qualifier too, and he's been pretty high up there, and Verstappen's a good qualifier, and he's been up there, and the McLarens have the fastest car, so they've been up there, and just the people who can qualify well have been up there, and it really hasn't been due to anything other than that. And that's not in the past. That's not been the case. In the past, Lewis would prioritize the race because he knew that even if qualifying didn't go so well, he had the ability to make up the ground. He was better at race pace. So it is definitely tough to watch. But yeah, it's a weird era. But what do you think of this Ferrari decision to go onto to start with the mediums when everybody else started on softs, then
Yeah.
move back
I
to the
thought it was really good.
mediums?
Yeah.
Hmm. Even the
I
end,
thought it
going
was
to the
really good.
hearts.
So I wonder in the end if they'd gone to the soft, but I think it would have been too big a gamble. You
Mm,
don't know what's going on. I think they stopped a little bit earlier than they planned to because of the safety car.
mm.
Maybe
So
there was a world
the
where they thought,
medium I think was really good, and obviously
yeah.
we saw them cut through the field, so we know it was really good. But even when he switched
And to
back to
double
the
stack the
medium,
cars like that.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
side question. What was happening to all the electrics at Bahrain? Red Bull's entire pit stop system broke down completely. George Russell was second, 19, second, 19. Nobody knew where the DRS was.
No, it wasn't
Everyone was
even
up in
second. It was second, third, fourth, fifth, fifth, 19. Second, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 19, 19. Second, somebody was like, "What is he doing?" Did you see the picture where his like it's like the map, and then George Russell's off in the corner somewhere?
Yeah. And just the whole TV direction as well.
Mm,
Like when Oscar was winning the race, the directors kept it on Russell and Norris. And it's like every race, wherever we've always gone, at least for the last corner, they cut to the race winner.
yeah,
And then
I,
they could
I
put the fight in the small screen. And then they totally missed the Verstappen Gasly fight.
mm.
So it just felt, I don't know what was going on.
It's because this is the Middle East, and as you know, in our culture, we hire just the people, our friends and family, and we don't hire people who are worth it. So there's
But
some
F1
Uncle G who's
TV is
running
the
this.
same people. F1 TV is supposed to be the same people at every single race. There's only one race which get an exemption and is allowed to have their own people. Do you know what race that is?
Monaco.
Yeah, Lance Stroll, 18th. Insert meme here.
Replay. Oh, as we cut to Lance Stroll going over the bollard. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened with the electronics. I don't know why George Russell's car combusted. I think it's hilarious that they even considered giving him a DRS disqualification for clearly a malfunctioning DRS. Like his DRS
Hmm.
wasn't. His
So they said the
DRS
failure
was.
was secondary to something provided by an external supplier,
Oh, Timu.
which is why he didn't get a penalty. And actually, when he
Hmm.
noticed it open, The penalty thing says he gained 0.02 seconds.
Mm,
Because he knew that happened, he just let go of the accelerator, gave up 0.2 seconds, and then
mm,
got back on the throttle again. So I think this race was sensible in, people giving back positions and all this kind
mm,
of stuff to avoid
mm,
penalties
mm.
and just policing themselves. I think everyone did a sensible job that way.
The one
Apart from
place,
Hulkenberg, why was he disqualified?
skidware,
Oh,
they
okay.
ran him too low. The
Yeah.
one thing where
I
I feel
hate
like I
these
got
cars.
the
This is
one,
like
the,
active arrow, underneath arrow, everything. I know you're talking, but I'm going to keep talking. It's a whole arrow regulation I hate, but you may now continue.
the one area where I feel like I got a little, I don't know if this is inappropriate of a word. If it is, just tell me, I'll bleep it out. But I feel like I got a little edged in the one area, which is that all these cars up until the last couple laps had black and white flags for track limits, and nobody then got the 5 second penalty. Like Norris, Verstappen, Hulk, like all these guys had black and white flags. Ocon, and I was waiting for that 5 second penalty to pop, and it never
Yeah.
popped. And I was like,
Well, like, it's coming up to Easter,
mm-hmm,
right? So,
yeah.
according to Christian mythology, Jesus died for everyone's sins. In the same way, Liam Lawson took all the penalties for everyone. His career
Yeah.
died for their sins.
10 seconds. Another 10 seconds. Did you sniff at that other car? 10 seconds.
Did you see? And then on top of that, Carlos Sainz got a penalty for Saudi because they're like, you didn't take your 10-second penalty. And he's like, yes, I did. And they're like, oh, yeah,
No,
our
I didn't see
electronic system
that.
malfunctioned.
He
So
got
he
a ten
got a
second penalty.
penalty. He got
He's
a 10-second
starting.
penalty. For
He's starting the race with a 10 second penalty.
No, 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 no. So if you don't take a 10-second penalty, it turns into a grid drop in the next race, right?
Yeah,
Three
yeah.
places, 5 places, whatever. So he served his 10-second penalty. They did it in a clever way. They knew they were going to retire the car because it had damage. But they'd like sent him out and they'd said, come take a 10-second penalty in the pit stop, go out again, and then retire
Mm-hmm.
the next lap.
Yeah.
So he did that. And to be extra sure, they like stopped him for 11 seconds. But the FIA didn't pick up that he'd stopped and done all of that because all the electronics everywhere were just failing. So they were like, you didn't take a penalty. We're giving you a grid drop for Saudi. So then they had to go and be like, we did take it. Look, we took it for 11 seconds. And they're like, oh, yeah, so you did.
That's so funny. What a race. So the big Ferrari discussion though is should they have gone to softs at the end? And you said it was a big gamble. I agree. I think it was a big gamble. I think maybe Lewis challenges Norris for a little bit, and then as his tires fall off, Norris takes the position
If it
back.
was me,
Mm-hmm.
lead car, Charles Leclerc, I would have said, do you want hards or softs?
Mm.
Whatever you do, we're going to do the opposite for Lewis. So we're going to split the
I'm surprised they
strategy
didn't
and
split
just see what.
strategies.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
We're going to try and get one of the cars to P3. As the lead car, you have preference. What would you prefer? If he says, I want soft, you give Lewis hard. If he says, I want hard, you give Lewis soft. And then you say, both of you can race. Go for it.
What do you make of McLaren's race?
Oscar did really well. Lando, I think, is
Woo!
already psychologically broken. The way he speaks in interviews and things, yeah, we've got a really great car. It's just masking all my mistakes. I can't drive it. It's like I've never driven an F1 car before.
Mm.
And on the one hand, it's very easy for me as like someone in my mid 30s to look at this and be like, that's not how you conduct a media interview. Like, you're not supposed to be saying these bits out loud. You're like very hypercritical of yourself, all of that.
Mm.
But we sometimes forget these are very, very young men. And they're like growing up in front of, well, they're like your age, but compared to me,
That's why I said that.
yeah,
They're not that
but
young,
compared to
all
me,
right? Yeah.
he's 25. Um,
So?
yeah, that's young. When I was
Okay,
25,
fine.
I had no clue about anything. Anyway, so like you sometimes forget, like, yeah, actually they're growing up in front of the camera. It's hard for them. So I'm not going to be critical to how he's talking. I'm going to think about, okay, well, what if I was Zach Brown? What would I do? I think he needs more psychological support because I can see him imploding. I
I shouldn't laugh,
think
but
the
it's a little
season
funny.
is long and anything could happen. Like, remember, I don't know, whenever it was that Charles Leclerc had like a 70-point lead after the first couple of
22.
races. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So, we could, these four races have looked like this. There's no
Mm-hmm.
reason why the next four races can't be all Mercedes wins or all Red Bull
Oh
wins or
God.
all Ferrari wins, like
Mm-hmm.
anything could happen. Um, I think realistically, if I had to guess based on what's happening now, I'm gonna say Piastri for champion,
Mm.
and who knows what that will do to Lando's psychology long
Yeah,
term.
he reminds me actually a lot of Charles Leclerc in that year because when things weren't going Leclerc's way, I remember we were having all these conversations. Does he have it in him to be a champion? He was kind of imploding a little bit, and you could tell that the stress of fighting Verstappen, like it was tough. The thing is, Norris isn't fighting Verstappen, and I think he has a
Mm.
different outlook. And I think the outlook
He's fighting
is
himself.
yeah, yeah. I think his outlook is I deserve to win. Me, I need to be champion. And he said so
Not
many
even that.
times in the
So,
past.
yeah, carry on.
He said so many times in the past, Lewis had the fastest car. Versus it's easy to win. We've got the fastest
Yeah,
car.
yeah, yeah.
Verstappen's got the fastest car. And so I think that in his mind, he's like, I know I have the fastest car, so I really should be winning everything. And the fact that it's harder than that is like
Yeah.
breaking him a little bit.
Yeah, and I remember watching Drive to Survive, and he was talking about it. And he went, you know, this is my life, this is everything, this is a place in history.
Hmm.
Those are the words he used, and I think it's the weight of that is on his shoulders,
Hmm.
whereas Oscar's just like, "Yo, I'm driving,"
Which is
and
interesting
so
because Verstappen never came off that way to me ever. Even in
no,
21, even in
yeah,
2021, he's like, if I win, I win. I'm gonna be competitive because I'm a
yeah,
competitive guy. But he was
yeah,
never like, this is the Red Bull redemption arc. I must win to avenge
yeah.
Christian Horner. Like never like. So I don't know.
But and the person it reminds me of is Mark Webber. So Mark Webber
Wow.
in 2010 was very, very close and could have, should have probably won the world championship that year.
Mm,
But then after Vettel won 11, 12, 13, he was just broken.
mm,
He never recovered. And I
mm-hmm,
worry for Lando if Oscar wins a championship this year, and Oscar's my favorite to win it.
mm-hmm.
I wonder, does this become like a Lewis Nico thing or does it become like a Vettel Weber thing? If McLaren continue to be competitive.
Do you think
I
Norris
think
becomes Weber in this situation?
well no, I think he goes down two routes. He either becomes Nico Rosberg or he becomes Mark Webber.
Yeah, I think he becomes Nico Rosberg. I said this in the last
Yeah.
episode too. I think that's where he's headed. He's already has the jaded, grumpy, angry personality, and I remember thinking it was because he hadn't won a race. But then after he won a race, he still felt like that, and I think he's gonna feel
Yeah.
like that until he wins a championship. And I don't think it's gonna stop. I think every
Oh,
F1
this is what he should do. He should hire Nico Rosberg as his driver coach. That will
Rosberg
solve
won
so
one
many of his problems.
championship and then retired. I don't know. Is that the right guy you want coaching you? Like,
Yeah. Like Rosberg, the way he beat Hamilton
yeah,
was
mind games.
evil genius. Evil genius.
He
Just every
exploded his
last
engine
little
in
thing.
Malaysia.
Well, yeah, that too. But just everything. He was like he did all the like jet lag stuff. The second a race finished, his body clock was on wherever the next track was.
Mm,
He was waking up at like 1 a.m. in Monaco going for a run because he's like, this is normal time in that country that I'm supposed to be in.
mm,
He like removed a line of stitching from the glove,
mm-hmm,
his index finger,
mm-hmm,
which they used to change gears
mm-hmm,
because it gave him a better feel. And he didn't let on
mm-hmm,
to anyone that's what he'd done. And he said, the 3-4 starts after that, you can see I always started quicker than Lewis because I
mm.
had a better feel on it. And then after that, once Lewis figured out what's going on, now all the drivers have that. It's like a special glove on their
Wow,
finger. It's only stitched on one side, not both.
wow.
And like Nico Rosberg invented that and he's doing all these different things. He changed his helmet to black because it reduced weight. All this weird
Wow.
stuff he did because he was about all the little tiny, tiny, tiny
Hmm.
gains everywhere.
And
And
that's
then
what it
obviously a bit
took
of
to beat
luck.
Hamilton at his peak. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah,
The
but that's what I
GOAT.
mean. I think it's like a really interesting case study in
Yeah.
an insane person doing everything they needed to do to win. And I
Yeah.
think that's what Lando needs. I think McLaren are my favourites to win. Obviously, the second half of the season after Spain, we don't know what will happen, but
Yeah.
I think McLaren are going to win the constructors.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
yeah.
Ferrari are going to fumble their way into second, not
Nice.
because they have the second fastest car, but because Mercedes should finish second, but Kimi is hot and cold, and then
Well, I think
um,
today's strategy really screwed him over. But yeah,
yeah,
continue.
he had like 500 pit stops.
Soft to
But
soft to soft to medium to soft to medium to hard to soft.
yeah, yeah. And then I think Red Bull will finish fourth,
mm,
um, because their car is too erratic. I think
I
Verstappen will
yeah.
probably win another race here or there, but I think their car is too on and off again.
Yeah, I think Mercedes. I agree. I think Mercedes is third. I think Red Bull really depends on their updates that they bring. In the past, they've updated so well. They've developed so well over the course of a season. They've outdeveloped anybody else. But I don't know what it's going to be like this year. Um, what do you make of Yuki Tsunoda? We get a final. We got a proper evaluation of him.
Yeah. So Andrew Benson, who we love and trust,
Yes, we do.
he wrote in his like Q&A section on the BBC Sport website, they were
Mm-hmm.
like, do you think they've done the right thing? And he was talking about this post Suzuka, I think.
Mm,
And he was like, in every session, Yuki was just better than Liam Lawson.
mm,
And I think the other thing is, the thing I was mentioning earlier about Saturday is very difficult for a lot of drivers for some reason because of
mm-hmm,
the aero regulation right now. Even if you went, look, that's been really difficult for Liam Lawson,
mm-hmm,
but on Sunday the pace was there.
mm-hmm,
But I think Sunday the pace was not there. And with Yuki, they've
mm,
gone, right, he's having the Saturday struggles, but on Sunday his pace isn't too bad. It's not great.
mm-hmm,
He should have finished ahead of the other Haas, but
mm-hmm.
he scored points today.
I think just keeping it close to Verstappen is key, and yeah, I think
Yeah.
scoring points is good. I think we're coming to the end of the episode, but I'll just give a shout out to Alpine and Haas, who both had excellent strategy, both scored points. Actually, what is the constructors now? Let's just check it out right
So
now. F one.
constructors, Sauber is on 6 points. Alpine is on 6 points. Racing Bull is
Ooh,
on 7 points. Aston
oh,
Martin, 10 points.
nice,
Williams, 19 points. And then in fifth
nice.
place, Haas with 20 points. Ferrari, 57.
Wow,
I
wow.
know, right? Ferrari, 57. Red Bull, 71. Mercedes, 93. And McLaren,
Mm.
151.
Hmm. Ferrari's making their way back up. It's gonna take a while to get to second. They can't have any more interruptions, and I feel,
No.
unfortunately, I fear that Lewis is gonna be, the thing that drags him back. But I really hope not. Um, Even if he's finishing midfield, 5, 6, P7, like that area, he's still bringing chunks of points with him. Um,
Every season when it was like him versus Valtteri or Nico or whatever, I
mhm,
always felt like, for whatever reason, Lewis came to life in the second half of the season.
mm,
So I know a big bit of us is like, look, let's wait till 2026. You'll be more comfortable in the car, the team, this, that,
mm,
whatever. But there's a bit of me that's like, let's wait till Spain onwards. Like, from
mm,
Canadian Grand Prix onwards,
mm,
I'm like, that's when we start to see a bit more. So Canada and Hungary are the two tracks where he's won a lot, he's comfortable. Obviously Silverstone, but I don't think that'll happen this year. But I think Canada and Hungary will be good tests for us to see how he's getting along this year.
So somebody else said this online. F1 Jordan said on his Instagram, wait till the European leg of races. And if Lewis is still struggling, then the old Lewis qualifier is gone. How do you feel about that? You think that's accurate?
Yeah, I don't know about gone or not, because I don't think this is a Lewis Hamilton specific problem. Sainz is
Mm,
struggling, Yuki's struggling,
mm,
Verstappen's struggling on and off. So many people with this like under the car aero situation are just
mm-hmm,
unhappy.
mm-hmm,
And it's not like people go through karting, Formula 3, Formula 2, they learn their craft in a certain type of car.
mm-hmm,
And now the regulations change that we have something completely different, which is why so many people are struggling with it. We
mm-hmm,
talk about sometimes Formula One, it comes to the certain driver. Like pre 2014, the regulation was perfect for Sebastian Vettel
mm,
to suit his driving style. Post 2014, things unraveled for Daniel Ricciardo.
mm-hmm,
And Lewis, Alonso, they've driven across various generations of rules.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what makes them successful is they are adaptable, they are knowledgeable. And I think all of that is still there for Lewis. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think there's a whole thing of that this is gone, that is gone. I think it's, you know, like Alonso. I saw a statistic somewhere that Alonso has now, you know, raced just as long since he last won a race or something. Like it was
Hmm.
14 years or something crazy since he won a race. And
Wow.
he raced for 14 years winning races or something random.
Mm.
Can't be 14 because he didn't race for 28 years. What season is this for him? 24? Who
I
knows?
don't. When did he start?
2005 now.
2000.
20 years. It's 20 years. So I think half his season, yeah, 2014 he must have last won. I think that's where I've got 14 in my head from. So 14 was probably the last time he won a race or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't buy into this whole like Lewis is too old or this or
Mm.
that, because like Carlos Sainz was racing great for Ferrari last year.
Mm-hmm.
Has stepped into Williams and is struggling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every
But
driver that
Lewis
we've seen.
wasn't great at Mercedes at the end.
Yeah, I
Like,
think it's to do with this regulation of car.
to people
Like I think
listening, it's
Lewis
a air
likes.
quote.
Yeah, I think Lewis, this whole regulation of the car, the
Mm-hmm.
way he liked to brake aggressively, let the car
Mm-hmm.
pitch forward,
Mm-hmm.
and then roll through the corners. This era of car
He
is
did
not
that twice
allowing him to
today.
do that.
Yeah. His
What?
his two major overtakes were like that. I don't know if you noticed. It was
Yeah,
actually
and then the
classic Lewis.
the the Ferrari allows him to do it more than the
Mm-hmm.
Mercedes did for sure. I
Mm.
think he's going to do better in
I
this
hope so.
Ferrari than he would have done in that Mercedes.
Mm.
But um,
You can't judge him based off of coming
yeah,
into a new team plus a more difficult era regulation. We have to wait and see how it goes. I think
yeah,
that's fair.
and do you know what?
Stop
I
expecting
enjoyed watching
magic.
him overtake. I
I
enjoyed
did.
watching him overtake and get through the field. Yeah, so
It was
I
right.
had a
It
good
was
time.
nice. Yeah. All right, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We'll be back sometime after Bahrain. Arfat's doing nights this week. I will be doing nights after Saudi, not Bahrain. I meant to say Jeddah. So we'll see how the tariffs affect us in that case. But we will have an episode for you on the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix in Jeddah. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, wait. Sign up for slowpitstop.com/Patreon. Is that what it is?
No,
No.
patreon.com/slowpitstop. Oh
Yeah.
my
And
god.
win free stuff.
Yeah.